Joel, and welcome back to another video. And for today, I'm going to present to you my book review for the Ark of Scythe trilogy, book number 3, and the final book of this trilogy also, which is The Toll. The first book of the trilogy is Scythe, second one is Thunderhead, and this is The Toll, the third and final installment of the series. And this was released last November 2019, and for those of you who don't know, it is under the genre science fiction with a twist of fantasy under the category of young adult. For those of you who don't know, just a little backstory of the synopsis for Scythe, the Ark of Scythe trilogy. It is a young adult science fiction in which in this it's a dystopian rather, and set into the dystopian world. The book we humans already conquered or already defeated death. Basically, people are not dying anymore. They were able to defeat cancer or other infectious diseases based on the advancements of technology. So basically, there were a problem of overpopulation. So what the humans did in the future or in the story is that they made the Scythe Dome, in which the members of the Scythe Dome are Scythes, in which their job is only to kill people to control the population. And also, aside from killing people, when we talk about killing people, they can permanently kill people. It depends on their beliefs or their morals on how they will kill. Some are very violent, some are they have their own styles. It depends on the site. So aside from killing people, they also have the capacity to grant immunity for the people that they for the loved ones or the family members of the people that they are the person that they've killed. And that makes Scythe in this story or in this dystopian world very powerful. Okay, so yep, moving forward, by the way, for those of you who haven't read the Ark of Scythe, this video will be full of spoilers because I'll be focusing more on the Toll. And for those of you who haven't read the Toll yet, and also if you haven't read the Scythe and Thunderhead, I suggest you don't have to continue watching this video so that you can avoid the spoilers. And yep, so don't blame me if you get spoiled. I'm warning you from now on, spoilers will be told, I guess. So yep, so before we proceed for the Toll, my first the first thing I'm going to do is to review or just give my initial thoughts when it comes to the Scythe, then Thunderhead, and then the Toll. So I've read Scythe probably last year, early January last year, and it was okay. I almost gave it 3 stars or 3.5, but I ended up rounding it up and gave it 4 stars. And for me, it was a decent young adult science fiction. It is really unique. The plot was really brilliant. It was unique. It was really interesting. The thought that there's this set of individuals who can kill people and even grant immunity, and experiencing the world where humans were able to defeat death already, and which people can turn back. If they get too old, they can decide to turn back into a 12-year-old or 20-year-old, whatever they desire, but they still remain, or they still have the wisdom, their experiences, their knowledge on before they turn back into a younger version, younger physical self. It really intrigues me. It catches my attention. It catches my attention rather, and then also the fact that people get very abusive. Some humans do have found some hobbies being deadish. Deadish in the series meant that they want to intentionally kill themselves, not because they want to die permanently. They just found excitement on splatting or getting killed, because they always believe and they're very 100% confident after they die, basically they can be revived again after several hours on the revive center. So basically, yep, people became really close to immortal unless Scythe decided to kill them, in which you cannot decline. If the Scythe chose to kill you, you need to accept it. That's the end of your life. So yep, the main reason why I did not like Scythe, or the first book of the trilogy, was that I do feel that there's a lot of plot holes. I do feel that it was almost all over the place. Let me just place it here first. It's really heavy. It's almost 600 pages. And yep, also Scythe, I think it was just, full of setting or world building. Almost three-fourths of the book was spent for the world building, character development, which is I'm not a fan of. I'm not really, I don't hate those kinds of books which spend more time on world building and character development. I actually appreciate that. But for me, Scythe, the first book, really spent a lot of too much for me. Eventually, things got really, really interesting towards the end, which for me did save the book. Um, but it was a different story when it went, or we I have read the Thunderhead. For me, Thunderhead was a solid 5 star. I've read it a month after reading Sight, and it was phenomenal. If you're going to ask me after reading Thunderhead, I immediately considered the Arc of Sight. Even I haven't read it all, I immediately considered the Arc of Sight trilogy as one of my all-time favorite series. But I just can't really say that or conclude yet since I wasn't able to read the toll yet that during that time. So I did not include it on my all-time favorite books or all-time favorite series video if you have watched it a couple of months ago. And yep. By the way, in case you're wondering, my physical copies for Sight and Thunderhead is not with me right now, or I don't own a physical copies anymore, because originally I do own physical copies for Sight and Thunderhead, but they are in the paperback editions. I sold them because if you have noticed, the Toll, the third and final book of the series, I have it on a hardback edition. So I sold the first two paperback editions for the first two books of the series, and I bought a, or we bought rather, um, the first two books in the hardback editions, which is expected to arrive probably next week or next week, or hoping before 2019 ends. Yep. So, with regards to Thunderhead, it's not more of like just a spoiler again. In case you haven't read Thunderhead, I suggest that you need to skip this video, stop now, because I'll be spoiling Thunderhead now. Thunderhead was phenomenal again. It did not spend more time or more pages on character development and world building. It just really picked up the pace on where the first book ended. But it did introduce a lot of new plots, a new set of characters, probably a lot of characters, but it widens the plots, it widens the world, it builds up hypes, and it really prepared the phenomenal things that ever are about to happen or what we are going to expect from the show. What I really love about the site was the development of characters from book 1 and book 2. It was really noticeable. Though characters also, the new characters presented, especially Tolliver, he was also a good set of characters. There were less plot holes for me on the second book, and it was really, I was really able to really connect to Thunderhead more than I did on Sight. And the second half of Thunderhead, yeah, took me away, blew me away. Especially when, if you have read Thunderhead, again, if you haven't read Thunderhead, I need you to stop. If you've read Thunderhead, I know you'll agree. The one of the most iconic scene or part in the Thunderhead book was when, not that one, but when Scythe Curie, self-gleaned in order for them to, that really was really emotional. And also how the book ended when Citra and Rowan was locked in the vault and they got lost nowhere under water or under the sea. And also when the Toll decided to make all the humans unsavory except for Tolliver. The last words of the book really gave me goosebumps when I can still remember the last words from this Thunderhead book when the Thunderhead told or spoke to Tolliver, "Hey Tolliver, we need to talk," and period. The end of the book, and that was I know you'll agree if you've read the Thunderhead. I know I 100% very confident you'll definitely agree. I recommended the Scythe and Thunderhead already for a lot of my friends, and all of them really did enjoy Thunderhead over Scythe. It doesn't mean that Scythe was bad. Scythe was just okay, but Thunderhead was on another level, like 4 times better than Scythe, I guess. And it was sold 5 star. So the way Thunderhead ended really, prepared readers to the things that are about to happen for the toll. A lot of people were really anxious or really anticipating how will the story end, or how will the story continues from how it ended on Thunderhead. And yep, the publication for the toll was moved. It was delayed for months, and it was almost 2 years before the toll was ready for the world to read. And yep, and if you're going to ask me if the wait for the 2 years wait is worth it, I can't really tell, because I do have some mixed opinions when it comes to the toll. I think I'll just give first my negative feedback to this book before I give my positive feedback, so that we'll end with positive note. The first thing I did not like from the toll is that it was a little bit dragging. As you can see, it is around 600 or almost 700 pages, and I do feel at first, after reading the first 200 pages, that this could have been a 4 book series. And I do feel that after reading the first 300 pages, I do feel that Neil Shusterman really tried his best to really, narrow down a two books into making it into one, which I don't know. Maybe the contract is only a trilogy, but he does have a lot of plans to the story. That's why I do feel it was really congested. But at the same time, you do feel it was really congested. But at the same time, you do feel also it is really dragging. You know that there's a lot of info dumping, a lot of things are happening, but it does not excite you because the pacing was really slow. You know what I mean? I know it's kind of ironic. If there's a lot of things happening, it should be really fast. It should, make readers, get excited. But it's actually a lot of things happening, but at the same time, it's the pacing was really so. I was actually down to the I've read the first 400 pages, and I still don't know when will the story go or how will the story end. And there's really a lot of questions. Like, we're down to the 150 pages left for the book, and you still don't have any idea how this series will end, which is not, not, not usual for a finale or a conclusion book on the series. I was actually expecting that the Toll will just, give us shot after shot after shot after shot of awesomeness, non-stop awesomeness, 600 pages full of epic story. But I was really disappointed. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. But it was still a good book, though. I'll just give my rating by the end of the review. Uh, Also, the second thing I didn't like about the Toll is that the presentation of new set of characters. I am not really a fan of books, especially or series, that on the last book or the final installment of the series, the author presents set of characters. I don't know, maybe because he does feel, or Neil Schusterman does feel, that these characters are needed in order to widen more the plot, or to make the things more interesting, or make the story more interesting. I would totally understand that, but for me, it just, in this one, it did not go, and well, it actually, for me, it did ruin my experience. I was expecting to, the Toll will pick up the pace on how the second book ended, but eventually, when I started reading the first 200 pages, I just need first to know who are these characters, who is Jerry slash Jericho. Why do I have to know more about Jerry and Jericho? And yep, that's the main reason why it was a little bit dragging. And some characters that does not have any impact on the first 2 books are now having some spotlight on the first 200 pages, like Posuelo and Mm. But um, the third book that the third reason why I did not like this book also is that it was a little bit predictable. I did say that before, there's only 150 pages left and I still don't know what's about to happen. That's with regards to the main plot. But again, the plots on Thunderhead was really wide. There's also a lot of side plots, and the side plots on the Thunderhead was really predictable, although it was only the main plot that was not predictable. But with this, the side plots, it was really easy to predict. For example, again, if you haven't read it though, please, this will be a spoiler, so I need you to skip this video. One side plot I think that I was really predictable for me is what the character development of Rand, Scythe Rand. Um, she does have an affection to Tigger, and Tigger was, how Thunderhead ended. Uh, the body of Tigger was used for Goddard to implant his head, and it was really predictable that Scythe Rand is going to have her revenge against Goddard. Uh, you can't really deny it. After reading the first 100 pages, you're like, okay, I can see Rand at the end, you know, killing Goddard, using her revenge, because the build-up was really obvious. That's one of the side plots that I did not like, because most of the side plots were really predictable. But with regards to the final, to the main plot itself and how the story will end, that's not really predictable. Actually, it's completely the opposite of predictable, because you can't really tell. You don't even have any idea, which is bad also for me, because I want satisfaction, I want answers to questions, and the book is about to end and I'm still, left with a lot of questions. Now, moving forward for the for the positive things, or why I did like the book, the first one are the character developments of most of the main characters in the first two books, especially in Citra, Rowan. Spoiler again, yep, Citra and Rowan are alive. And Cy Faraday, Munira, and yep, Rand also. Her character development was okay. Tolliver was okay. Thunderhead was okay. Um, their character development was, they really grew on me actually. I think it's really common, especially if you're reading the last book of the series. These characters that you've been following from the first book will really develop, or really, grew grow inside you. So yeah, basically that's the one reason why I love the Toe. Next reason is that, yep, the main plot was really unpredictable, so it gives excitement to the readers. Like we're down to the last pages and we still don't know what's about to happen. So it's double edged. It might annoy someone, annoyed me, but at the same time, it made me really excited. The third reason why I love this book is the way it ended. It was epic. It was epic. It reminds me of Star Wars. That's how science fiction this book is. It reminds me of a lot of bad things. Actually, a lot of bad things that can be considered good things, because it was really epic. The last 100 pages of this book will haunt you for the rest of your life. And it was full of action. All questions were answered. Satisfaction will be served the last 50 pages. I can assure you that. So you need to be patient on this one. Some will DNF this because, again, the first 400 pages for me was really too dragging. But if you just really love the series, which same for me, and if you really want answers, or if you really want to finish the book and look for the answers, I need you to be really patient, because great things are waiting for you at the end. And also, the next thing that I like about this one is how ambiguous the ending, how ambiguous the ending was. Uh, it was really tricky, and it was really, it was a good move from Neil Shusterman to end the book that way, in which it made readers think a lot of things. It made the readers question about life, about eternity, and I really like about the book also is that how the story tied up to the first book. Um, the power of Scythe was explained, why they were able to grant immunity. Um, the origin of Scythe Dome was explained, uh, and many more. Everything will be answered. You will be satisfied for sure. That I can assure you that. And the ambiguity on the end will just leave readers again speechless, and that is why the main reason I am still giving the total 5/5. The ending saved the book for me, which I was really really happy, because I was really scared. Oh my god, this is supposed to be my favorite series, a new all-time favorite series. Why is this happening in the third book? But during the ending, uh, everything changed. I definitely fell in love with this book. I I was shaking at the end. I was like, after reading the last pages, I was like, yeah, you know what the, mm, like, did it really happen? What, I do have a lot of questions. This is a really good book to read on book clubs. So that it will raise a lot of, you know, speculations and also conclusions or hype. And yep, this totally deserves the hype, and was really glad this is part of the finalist for the Goodreads Best Young Adult Science Fiction Book. I voted for this one, even though I wasn't able to finish reading this one. Results came out just 2 days after I finished this one. I finished this. I was actually hoping to finish this one on November, but I finished this already in the first week of December. So I am also going to do my wrap up for, or short review for this book on my December reading wrap up. Yep, thank you so much. So overall, I can totally conclude or tell you guys that the Ark of Scythe series is already an all-time favorite of mine. And yep, even though this was not a perfect book, but if I'm going to judge the entire series, definitely an all-time favorite. This one, and also the way that the book ended, or the series ended, this one gave justice to it. So I salute Neil Schusterman. I'll always be a big fan of you since Everlost, and I'll always support your future works. And I can't wait for your new books that you're going to publish for years to come. Thank you so much, guys, and yep, I hope that um uh you liked the video. So if you did, I hope you are going to subscribe, put some comments below. But if you're going to put some comments below, please just warn us if there's spoilers, because I don't want to spoil for those of you who haven't read, or for those who haven't read the Toll, Thunderhead, or even the entire series yet. So yes, just respect them. Thank you so much, guys. If you love this book, tell me, and if you love the series, tell me also in the comment below, and tell me which of the three is your favorite. For me, for sure, I am torn between the Toll or the Thunderhead. But if I'm going to weigh between the two, which of these two I did really like, I probably say that Toll, slight slight better than Thunderhead. Yep. Thank you so much, guys. My name is Joel, your Messiah Reader, and advance Merry Christmas. Bye.